but they'll probably already hear me. Good morning. I'm higher vibrations, and so are you. Today, I am honored to have my lovely sister. I love Vineeta. She is amazing. Um, come and have this lovely conversation with us. Just for those of you who don't know, um, Elevate with V is Vineeta's YouTube and Facebook. Um, you have YouTube and Facebook, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That she does these awesome shows. And you just celebrated your 50th show recently.
Yes, I did. I did. Super exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It's like it's been a while since we've had a chance to connect and be just you and I in a space. The last time was Sology Fest, which was all the way in December, right? And we're
Wow,
already like March.
that's crazy. Time is so weird. Yeah. Yeah. And when I got to connect with you in person, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Like there's some heart centers that just go together, and like when I hugged you, like I felt that click. Like that was really cool. So thank you for making that possible for me.
It was amazing. And I was like, I was very impressed with your strength because not only did you hug me, you like lifted me off the ground and held me there. I was like, whoa, Pamela is strong.
I wasn't planning on doing that.
I love it. It was spontaneous and I enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing to bond in this way and get to connect in so many different with so many different people. Um, I'm curious because I know that you've been doing this work for a little while. When was your awakening? When did that really start for you?
Well, it actually started completely aligned with the pandemic, believe it or not. So I had this incredible food business. It was a small food business. It was me and a business partner. And without going into too many details, everything fell apart. End of 2019, like beginning of 2019, things really start to fall apart. And I think that's kind of when I kicked into like sort of this, how when you keep getting red flags and you don't really pay attention and you keep rationalizing and all of these things, and I wasn't really in touch with a lot of my senses in that way. And so the universe was like, we were trying to warn you, but I guess you weren't really listening. So now we just got to, like, pummel you to the ground and roll over you a couple of times. And that's what's going to happen. And so a lot of 2019 was me kind of, closing the business. And there was just so much like trauma and everything else that I experienced. And most people can relate to this, right? Like when you go through something really major, it really, like, kind of pummels you to the ground. And so by the end of 2019, I was definitely in a place where I was like, wow, I could feel, like, I knew that there was so much trauma just in every layer of my body. And so end of 2019, I ended up going with my mom to India to an Ayurvedic center. And I was like, you know what? This is my best way to start my healing journey, to kind of go from the inside out. And so that's kind of where it kicked in. And then I came back with the whole notion of, okay, I've started doing this work. Now I'll get into the other pieces, the other layers of healing. And it kind of lined up with the pandemic.
Wow.
So that was really it. March of almost, I'm like, oh my goodness, March of 2020.
Yeah, wow.
So
And it's amazing how many people have that date. And typically it is March too. Sometimes people will point out February because they'll see it like beginning or something. That's fascinating to learn that you share. That was amazing, that window of time. Holy cow.
yes. Yeah, so it's like so perfectly orchestrated. Like all as we go along this journey, right, Pamela? We all know that we've sort of agreed on certain things, whether people want to call it contracts or what we've agreed with our higher self and oversouls. And it was sort of like that's kind of what I must have agreed on to say, okay, perfect. That's going to be perfect timing. Because if you think about it, coming back and really diving into this journey that I knew nothing about, right? And to suddenly have all this time to focus my energy on it, right? Because I had a job, but it was, they're like, oh well, I was working from home. So like, okay, well, we're just going to like lay off a lot of people, but you have your job. We'll let you know when we need you. So I was really suddenly my calendar just opened up, right? For all of this space to really put my energy towards it. So it just kind of all kind of worked out and I just got all of that time. But as you know, when you kind of go through that dark night of the soul journey, it's a very, very, very lonely journey on top of the pandemic happening. So it wasn't even like I could say, hey, let's go out for coffee, let's talk, and also understanding that a lot of people didn't understand where I was or what my journey was. So it's almost like I felt like I didn't relate to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you understand later that a lot of the Dark Night of the Soul is a very inward journey. It's not about, you know, too many people around you. So that was kind of my process. That's kind of how it started. So, in some sense, I was like, why did I choose to do this so late? Like, people have been awake for like 20 years.
Yeah. Well, it's perfect in alignment with what's going on. Right then, most people that I talked to, that was their awakening window. It was the beginning of the pandemic. And that's, I don't know what the reason for anything is, though I can tell you that that spirit never, there's never something that happens with spirit that has only one purpose, and also something that may not be the most awesome is sometimes instead or at the same time being used by spirit, to assist everyone. And during this time, everybody suddenly started meditating. Everybody suddenly started to, you know, they got tired of their Netflix and, their Uber Eats and, started to, well, now what? And this grand awakening that was initiated on this day is actually cycling again. So this is like 2.0 that just happened, and um, that's really cool. I don't want to take it over and make it be my conversation. Um,
No, I love it because I think that's what I love about, how you do this. It just, we're just kind of weaving and bobbing in and out of conversations and they're all connected, right? It's all
yeah,
synchronicity and, other people that are tuning in, like they can probably relate as well because it's like, when they had their waking journey, you kind of come back to that moment, right? Of remembering when, oh my God, my sweet soul sister Nicola is watching. So I think what was really interesting is, when you're going through something, you don't actually like realize a lot of the components, but when you come outside of it, like say like 6 months or a year later, like it really makes sense, right? Everything that happens, that journey that you're taking. And even though I kind of experienced this whole place of like being by myself, I understood, oh, it does have to be this way. And then slowly, like let's say it took about 6 months before I came to a place where I wasn't in a space of really sort of almost kind of when you go through something like that, you're like, oh my God, you feel betrayed, you feel like people stabbed you in the back, how did this happen, I'm a good person. And so by the time I came to like 6, 7, 8 months down the road, suddenly it dawned on me right through the work that I was doing that, wow, okay, maybe these people were really like teachers for me and maybe this was really for me and not the universe in some way trying to punish me or something, right? Or saying you made this mistake and now you must suffer. So there was none of that. It kind of moved into this whole other space. And it was so empowering because, as you know, down the road, it took me almost like 2 years. And I realized I was like, wow, so many of us have gone through these kind of experiences. And you have to go through your own journey before you realize that, wow, now I can actually be of even more service to others, right? Because it's like I've been through something, I've been in those shoes, so now when I share, it's going to be from that place of like, I really kind of know what you're talking about, right? I really have an understanding of what you're sharing about. So that's what I love
yeah,
about a lot of our sort of, whether you want to call
yeah,
it pain to purpose journeys or awakening journeys, it's just incredible.
yeah. And that they are all comparable. You can see how they're the same, and just there might be a different palette, but it's the same story over and over again. What's fun about this too is that I'm finding the dark night of the soul that people are having now, because there's a global dark night of the soul that really started in November, was where I really started to feel the echo of it. Um, and has persisted through. So like it's just more and more people are waking up. What's cool about it is there aren't as many individuals needing to be in solace for as long as we found ourselves to be. And there's no longer a need for that, and they have access to people and communities because we are doing what we're doing. We're, when we were doing it, there really wasn't anyone for us to reach out to, and you've been creating this container, this place where conversations like this could be had. And, a unique audience that wouldn't have found this information otherwise are now finding it through you, and so the dark night of the soul isn't as alone
Yes.
anymore,
Yes,
which is pretty
absolutely.
cool.
It is. It's amazing. And I can see Sharmony in here. Hey, Sharmony. But it's so
Yeah.
true because, but it's also about kind of realizing that there's some work that you have to do by yourself first before you seek
Yeah.
external support, right? Because it's almost like you have to create some sort of a base for yourself. Because one of the things to me that's really interesting, even though I'm like so excited that now, like you said, like people who are waking up, there's like so many resources, it's just everywhere. But then on the other hand, I also feel it's like so much information that then people get confused, right? Because it's like so much information. So I think it's
Yeah.
also about kind of building that sort of inner, all our tools, right? That discernment and understanding like what is something that feels right for you versus just sort of like, oh, well, they have like, 50,000 followers. That must be the truth. That must be what it is. So even we, some of us navigate, right? Because I know I'm someone who loves to, I love information and I'm always seeking information. But that's a big part of what I've learned in this journey is just constantly tuning back in and using your discernment, like what feels right. And even if I listened to somebody like a few days ago and I was like, yeah, yeah, that feels really good. And then today I listen, I'm like, I don't know. What do I feel about that? So it's like being really fluid, much more fluid, and not attaching to things like we did in the past. So I've been feeling that. So I don't know about you and others, but that's kind of been something that's been in my awareness.
Definitely. And like you said, the people who have the I would say I compare it. I look now instead of the quantity of someone's subscribers or followers, it's the other way. Like I'll look at what's considered the small channels because they tend to be the most authentic. And um, I also found at first when I was practicing my discernment, I would see something, or something would have, like you were saying, that you resonated with, um, except for some part of it, like something was said that, and I at that time, the beginning, I would say, well, that person's not. I no, I'm not going to listen to that content anymore, and it's more of like taking what you want and leaving the rest. There are some really awesome channels that I just love, like people who are in channeling, and these beings when they come in almost always say the same thing. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't worry about that part. And um this is after a while. I learned how to do that after a while. At first I would just stop following a content uh producer.
Yes, I love what you're sharing. And I think for me on my own journey, I just think back to like, who did I start to listen to? Do I even listen to them anymore? And it's kind of interesting because even now, right, Pamela, like in the whole spiritual community, there's still people in quotes that we would put up on a little bit of a pedestal and be like, they're gurus, they've been doing this and all of this stuff. But that doesn't equate to, like we were saying, that message resonates for me yet. what I realized that every single one of them is serving a purpose. They're all attracting an audience for a very specific reason. And I remember, a while ago, I was definitely subscribing to this, this couple, and I was just like, oh my God, they're so amazing. I love their information. But slowly I started to like sense the red flags. And I was like, okay, I think that yes, they might have some good messages, but I think that this is not right for me. And slowly but surely, it was almost like there was a mass exodus of people, like all these people that just kind of like left. But then the next group came in. And what I learned was the reason that I was so connected to this channel initially, yes, the information and it was empowering in the beginning, but it really helped me sharpen my discernment and to trust my gut and to trust the red flags that were popping up to say, you know what, this is not for me. I'm just going to move
Yeah.
along, let them do their stuff. Whoever needs to come to them next is going to come to them. So it's just been really fascinating for me to just notice that in my own kind of vision.
Right. I love this. This is very, me too. My example I always make is back in 2009, I found a channel called Spirit Science. And Spirit Science is still something that the earlier content that I would suggest for someone new that just want a lot of information about like um it was, very, very useful. Though every time I've wanted to go back and like find a very specific video for somebody, I just can't watch it. Like, and it's not because it's not good. It's just no longer in resonance with me. It's something that I had learned that was basically a step that led me to the series of steps that I've ended up on the one that I am now. And they're important for our evolution. I was really invested in even the white hat story for a long time there. The white hat thing. Yeah, and like not anymore, but it was really important back then.
Yes, I mean, believe it or not, that is exactly where my journey started, was all of these conspiracy theories. And I went deep. I was like going into all the corners with everybody, and we're just like, what's happening? And what's this? And what's that? And, but what I appreciated was that after about like 5 6 months of being in there, I was guided to the next thing. And this was what's so interesting, right? That along, you don't realize, like when I was like, well, how did I get here? Like, why am I watching this, or why am I reading this? Not even realizing that we're just being guided. And it was only for us to be tuned in to, like, I have this beautiful support team that's really helping me along my journey. You call it higher self, your team, your guides. And so it took me a while to kind of understand how everything was literally happening exactly as it's supposed to, right? The next step would show up, then the next step would show up. And then that same thing where I started my journey, I didn't need to go back there, but it helped me significantly because it allowed me to just be aware of some things, whether they were true or not. I don't even know if that was the point. It was just about like exposure to things that were sort of not necessarily open to public, open to all of us, and to be like, wow, look at all of this information. I've never
Yeah.
heard or seen any of that before, but it just kind of like woke something within you, and then you go to the next thing. So, very, very fascinating to me.
Yeah. It teaches us to question everything. Where we had I would say all of us did already question quite a lot, quietly in ourselves, privately. But to that degree, it was needed. We needed some kind of catalyst for it.
Yes.
There's a comment about the dark night of the soul I'd like to bring up here. If
Yeah.
that's all right with you.
Yes.
Um, been in hell, dark night of the soul, for 4 years. CA 4 years. And still is. So I wonder if something is wrong with me when people say they are so happy now. Um, I could say that every one of us have different lengths of time in this dark night of the soul thing, as well as there are more than one. Often, I'm sure there's people out there who have one. I so far that's not really a conversation point that I tend to find myself in. Um, and it's not that anyone's doing anything wrong. It's we're there until we accomplish what we need to, and sometimes. it's quite a bit more than we realize, so it takes amount of time. I could say that the last the one that I would point at if anyone asked to where my dark night of the soul was, even though I had many of them throughout my life looking back, was about 5 years long, and it was when I fully realized that I was in the dark night of the soul and I started to do what's called shadow work. And it's like that inner child work is, you can look it up on YouTube. There's a lot of different resources for guided meditation, for shadow work. This really does help because what you're doing is you're facing it head on and you're making a choice or a decision to start to do something about it in this deeper, etherical, spiritual kind of way. Do you have any input you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, that's so beautiful, Pamela. And I think so much about this is also what I realized for myself personally was being willing to see something from different perspectives, right? So if we keep looking at something the same way, we're going to experience it the exact same way. So the way I was sharing that, you know, initially when I went through my journey, I was like, I felt like a victim. I felt like I was stabbed in the back. I felt like I was betrayed. So many things happened, right? It took me 6 to 8 months of really doing the work, of really going in and saying, okay, what did I miss? What did I not take responsibility? What did I not say? Instead of looking at outside of me and looking to point a finger or blame anyone outside, it was about taking responsibility. And the moment I started to go inwards and say, what is my part? I could see some other perspectives, because I think that's a really important part of the journey, is to actually take responsibility for what you might have contributed to the situation, not as in judging yourself, but just having that awareness, right? And the moment I was able to go there, I was able to start to heal those pieces of me to say,
Yeah.
oh wow, that was the pattern that I was repeating. Oh my god, I got it. I'd never seen it before. So now I know that if that flag comes up again, it's this. So what do I need to do? I know I'm going a little bit deeper, but I'm giving the specific because it's like that's what it was like for me. And in doing that and shifting my awareness, it allowed me to now look at that person that I might have looked at as a narcissist and said, oh wow, thank you. You actually gave me the opportunity to learn and to break these patterns that I had.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big leap, right? To say in one breath that
Right.
someone's a narcissist and then say, wow, thank you for being my teacher. So I think it's just about doing that, and it's not overnight. Like Pamela said, it takes time, and like she said, all of us have gone through multiple dark night of the souls, and sometimes they can be gathered together because we have chosen. But if you look at it in that sense, you are fully capable of doing this, and there's so many resources. But instead of going outside immediately and looking for sources, go inwards first. Really try to understand it first before you go outside, because there's so much information sometimes that can be confusing. Just try to kind of like work through that before you step outside. So that's what I would share with anyone in that similar situation as Soul.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you very much. And I totally agree that, and we'll be what in whatever phase we're in for as long as we need to be, no matter how much we exude effort toward a different. And so you find yourself being guided in the way that you're meant to be, whether you want to or not, because you're a powerful being. I know a lot of other people right now are definitely feeling this grand awakening, that's happening. It's massive. And um, we're all kind of finding that perhaps the what we were doing before isn't as effective. There was something that happened last night. Do you mind if I bring this up?
Yeah, let's do it. I want to hear all about it. Can I just add one thing, Pamela? I just
Please.
wanted to add one more thing for Soul or anybody else. I think it's incredibly important for us to be really, really mindful of our languaging, of what we say to ourselves. So I'm just giving a simple example. Like, we are so hard on ourselves. We can be so negative. Like, I could shower Pamela with just all the compliments. Would I give them to myself? Not so much, right? So I think it's really important to, the words, like I'm seeing even in the stream, like people are using certain words. I'm miserable. I have crippling anxiety. I would say something that's really important is never to diminish anything that you're feeling, but empower yourself in a way that you can say, I'm feeling better every day. I'm getting better every day. Like put something in your languaging for yourself so it brings you that optimism, it brings you that hope. I'm not saying don't feel everything, but make sure that you're also saying things that are encouraging you to move into that next step. Don't fake it. Don't be like, I'm so elated when you're really not, but you can also say, I am feeling better today. I aspire for something. Like, make that part of your languaging. I just wanted to add that because I know for me, language is so important. The words
Oh,
that we say to ourselves and others are so important. So, even that's like a little micro step, but just start with that to just help to shift your awareness and perspective into that light.
yeah. And Kenny said while you were talking or right before or something, you guys were in the same place. Feed your joy. You know, what wolf are you going to feed story? They talk about the joy or the fear or whatever. That's how I see it. I see it as joy and fear.
Yeah.
If you're what you're choosing, and um, Nicola agrees with that too. This actually this is more than just a small. I just want to echo what you said in that how it looks energetically. It has to do with Dr. Emoto. Dr. Emoto has taught us that when you speak kindly to water, the molecules of water that you can see under a microscope change to something that is um, uh, has beautiful symmetry. It looks like a snowflake. It's gorgeous. And then when we speak diminishing, unkind, angry words, then it changes to like a tan, yellowy color, and it's lopsided and just looks polluted. Um, you're 70 to 80% water.
Yes.
And so the words that you speak to yourself, whether it's in your thoughts or with your voice, you're speaking what you want to come into reality. And so this is really true. In my house, if someone's feeling under the weather, we don't use any words to describe those things. We say, I'm healing through something.
Yes.
We always do. Like I figured out when I was 25 that it wasn't until I declared that there was an illness coming on or present that I would become so. And it just it works that way. You may have something that you're fighting or that's not in alignment with you, but as soon as saying it out loud comes through, bam, you're there. And so look at the power in your choice and your words. And so this is really important. This is actually a really big step. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, I love it. I love the whole thing about water. And, just the same way you said, like most of our body is water, right? And even a simple next step is, just also doing that with the water that you drink every day, making
Yeah.
sure that you put all this positive energy and just see it just filling your body. And I know for some that this might be a leap, but it's like a little practice, right? Maybe you just start with one word and you just say, today I'm filling my glass with love, and tomorrow it could be joy. So, you might see it as something small, but it's actually very powerful. And slowly but surely, you're going to experience it and feel it because you're feeding yourself all of this beautiful energy and positivity, and your body and your cells are going to respond to it.
Yes, exactly. You are speaking it into being. And I speak to the water that I drink, that I cook with, that I clean with, that I bathe in,
Yeah.
like, and visualizing it turning into these snowflake looking things when I'm doing it. And usually I'm saying I love you over and over again. That's usually how it works. And I'm saying thank you. By the way, uh, it's really fun to know that these water molecules, and as well as your food and all of the molecules of all these things that we consume and use, um, they're very much like children. And you put a child in a room full of toys and close the door, and with the expectation that they're going to clean and put things away without having said anything to them, you know. So we also need to code the water with what we need, you know. And so I thank the water for giving me, or you know, to doing what it is I want the water to do. Thank you for nourishing my body. Thank you for, you know, cleaning my body of toxins. Thank you for, you know, elevate, you know, there's a lot of different things that you can say thank you for. And as you thank it, then you could feel it click on. It's like, oh, that's what I'll do now, you know. And so just let the water know what you want it to do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I know you wanted to kind of share a little bit. Oh, yay. I'm so happy to hear that, Soul. That's amazing. And, that's what it's all about, what Pamela and I are sharing here. We're all kind of sharing from our personal experiences. We all have all of this beautiful wisdom that we get to share with each other. And,
Yeah.
we're all kind of on this journey together, and we will be. Like, I think that's part of the human experience. We're always going to have things that we're learning from, growing from, expanding from, and we get to choose. That is my most favorite thing that I've learned through this journey is I get to choose. What do I choose? So it's kind of like, do you want to choose joy, or do I want to choose the path of suffering? I'm going to pick joy. That's my personal choice. And it's not wrong to pick if you choose you want to go into the suffering, because maybe there's something you need to learn there, right? So I don't think there's any choice that's not right. It's just what's right for you and what you want to experience. So I keep reminding myself of that. It's like, what do I want to experience? And we will have throughout our day, there could be something that triggers you, that upsets you. And when you have the awareness, you can like catch yourself, right? You catch yourself, like, oh, I remember something happened like a week ago, and it triggered me because of what someone was doing, and I felt that energy kind of like rising in me, and then I caught myself and I just stopped. I said, okay, Vanita, what do you want this experience to be? Do you want it to be joyful and full of love, both for yourself and have compassion for this person, whatever they're going through? And the whole moment and interaction completely shifted. And we both left like smiling and just at ease and peace. And I was like, oh my God, wait, we did that. We did that. We co-created that moment and shifted it. So much is possible. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing that all the time these days, you know. And this is something that we started getting in February, really big message wise, like with channeled and guides and spirit, just over and over again, different examples. Like sometimes it's a dragon, just this large, loving, nurturing mother energy, you know, and like in your room with you and your kiddo, and she's like saying, do you want this, you know? And you can't even see, but just, you know, giving something, you know, and you decide, you know, huh, do I use that? No, I really don't, you know. And okay, good, put it over there. Now you have a spot for something of higher light in that place. That the occupation of this occupying space made space not available.
Right.
And then again, something else and something else. And now what I've been getting, it's a little bit different, is that it's this one or this one, this one or this one. And every time, and I was getting that before, back in March 2021, that came in a bit back then too, where there were life things about being human that I didn't do. And those options started coming into my life. And I did. I was like, okay, you know, I'll do that for a bit, and I did it for like a month or so. And it's like, okay, well, I'm glad I got that out of my system, you know. And like, um, I didn't date, for example. You know, I wasn't a dater. I, you know, was basically married 3 times. I've never been married. I never will be, but not legally. It just, that was somebody that I was, and I didn't ever do the dating thing. So I did the dating thing for a little while, and I'm glad I did. However, it definitely was a denser experience than what I've been doing. And so then when I was done with it, then we got to do this instead, you know, and go back to this again. So you're, just like you said, And all paths lead to the peak of the mountain, every path that you take. It's just that, if I choose this one today instead of this one, it'll take me a little bit longer to get there. That's all. And I'm okay with that. It's we're all in exactly the time that we're meant to be in right now. Like where you are is where you're meant to be right now, is what I mean.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I know we kind of went deeper into this topic, and I know you wanted to kind of share about like what
Uh,
happened. Please share. I'm super excited to
Okay.
hear.
It goes kind of along with what Kenny had said here. He said, we're shaking off the character we built. Um, in a big way, in a big way. Holy cow. So Monday was March 4th, and it's always been a significant day on the in the calendar for us. And I did only started to notice that it was the day that it was when I started YouTube, but it's always been around that time of year, activations and stuff. Anyway, um, I did a meditation thing, and then all of a sudden, I just started to get a fever on my back. I got a fever on my back, and it was really weird. And like, if you needed to describe it to somebody, I would say that at the time, I would say that like I have like a flu all of a sudden or something. And my body went through this crazy, like I was in convulsions. I probably had a couple of seizures. Um, I don't know. I can say when that was happening, we we there was a bunch of energies, a bunch of amazing energies that came in. I'm all by myself in my room, in my bed, right? Um, that all these energies came in, and we went into my body and saw that our bodies, you could see all the molecules of your bodies like puzzle pieces. And some of the puzzle pieces were in the wrong places. A lot of them were, in fact. And we were just moving them around and just kind of like finding wrong place isn't even the right way to say it. It was just that they weren't in the most advantageous spots. And when we were moving the molecules around in the body, I could see that we were doing it along with a lot of other people. And while I was doing it, I was assisting by causing out, a ripple out where, and what we were doing in the moment is all things that meant who I am as just as me don't exist anymore. It's gone. Like it's all gone. And it's good. It's really good. It's freeing. It's all get out. Like, and all of the things that see, I've done this a few times, so I've already said this before, but it's a new version of it, of like the things that you thought were important all of a sudden aren't, and you can't even remember why you thought they were to begin with. And this was a long activation. This took 36 hours. Like, it was a really incredible, crazy experience. People on the outside of me were all worried about me, and like, um the spirit that came in to talk about this explained in such reassuring and guiding kind of tones and energies that I'm going to have to tell other people about it. And sometimes I get that and I just go, oh, I don't want to, but because I don't have the words to really describe it yet, the way that I know I'm going to be able to. um but I can say that since I've done that, I can do it on purpose now. Like, so we can go into our body. So, in a place of meditation, go into your body like as if you're getting small and zooming into your body. And you can actually see, and they're colors, like colors of the chakras. But let's say there's a whole bunch of balls with like little arms, kind of fingers on them, like puzzle pieces, kind of. And they just need to go to their like color. And as soon as you create your own mandala, you're creating your experience. You're not meant to keep the same mandala. You're meant to shift and to change. It's a kaleidoscope life. We're at it, and it's we move and shift our molecular structure based on what's most advantageous for the moment that you're in. So, I don't. Did that make sense?
Wow. Oh my gosh, that was amazing and profound. And it's so interesting. I guess what was coming to my mind, Pamela, when you were sharing that is, you know, we're multidimensional beings. So many of those aspects of us, because of the work that we've done and the frequencies that are also coming in to support us, we're being able to integrate some parts of those aspects of ourselves, right? Like some people might be like, was that like a walk in? What was that? Right? Or to me, it's just, we have so many layers, so many multidimensional aspects. And as we're on this journey and we're elevating and we're, kind of moving in this place of, for lack of a better word, ascension, we're being able to integrate these sort of like different versions of ourselves that are saying, you can release those. You've done the work. It is cleared. It is cleared. Now you're ready for that next layer. And the next part of your journey. And it was because you were ready. Now, what we can't control always is how it's going to show up and what it's going to feel like. But at the same time, because you're aware enough, you've been in this work a long time, and you're very connected to your guides and your team, you knew that it was something very significant. And then also
Yeah.
be able to like receive the communication and communicate so you can understand. And even though you might not be able to fully articulate it yet because you're still integrating, you will, right? Like soon enough, you'll be like, okay, I have integrated, I've understood. Now I can kind of share it from a different awareness, right?
Right.
So it's really powerful and beautiful. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you for giving me the space to do it. Yeah, I mean, I think that we all did it too. That was kind of what I was getting when we were in the in the moment. It was many people are doing this right now, and so much that I felt like I went on Facebook and I made a comment, like I put a post out real quick about it, and just get out of curiosity, and the response I got was immediate, where there's a lot of people were like, yeah, 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 like something happened for a lot of people on this day, and um also 2 days from now we're having a triple conjunction, and then 2 days after that is the new moon, and March 4th is the new year energy. And so then this particular new year, so we're still here, we're still in the energy. Just before I forget to say this, um, is that right now it's a purging of all things that don't serve us, and a sowing or a planting of the seeds that we want to harvest next year, right? Or throughout the year, into next year. And and that's also true for the new moon. So that's why it's even stronger. Then it's already strong, but it's even stronger because of this. So, like, the, what do you want to create? What do you want your reality to be like in the next, because right now is the time to get to do that. So it's really cool.
Yes, I love that. And, just how you are, I'm part of a lot of like groups and communities. So it's really wonderful now that we have those spaces where we can kind of share. I know you have your own groups that you do like on Friday afternoons, and people can come in and ask questions and just share all the symptoms and everything they're going to. And I think that's so beautiful because sometimes even though we know that a lot of other people might be having similar, like let's say symptoms or experiences, it's nice to be able to articulate and to say, oh wow, yeah, I do have some understanding of that, or I've gone through that. And for me, I really felt this whole energy, just through this year. But already we're already in March, but like even the full moon that happened in February was incredibly powerful. And so many people that I spoke to, I mean, so many of them felt like almost like a propulsion of some of their
Mhm.
gifts and things getting activated. It was almost like all of us were doing our work and getting ready. And then when the influx of energies came in, it just allowed all of those seeds to actually like bloom, right? And it felt kind of like fast, but it was still like really beautiful to experience. And I think more of that, more and more of that is going to happen. I'm not the best with being in tune with all the energies of like astrology and planets, but I'm always very interested and intrigued. And I do know that it impacts, all of us to a certain degree, but not as in like we get attached to like, oh, this is supposed to happen on this and this is supposed
Right.
to happen. Just witnessing for yourself, like, what does it feel like on those days, or what are the energies for you? So I absolutely love that. And I have to say, I'm just loving all the conversation and support that's happening in the chat with everybody that's here joining us live. So, really, really beautiful to have all the love and support in the chat for each other,
Yeah.
in addition for us as well. So, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. This is awesome. I love seeing this too. Um, and I agree with you on the celestial body thing. I just wanted to point that I just agree with you and say, um, there's definitely credence behind, um, without anyone else manifesting or whatever, behind the power when suns line up. Like for instance, Lionsgate. Most people know what Lionsgate is before they know about Mercury retrograde and Lionsgate when they come in. Usually that's how it goes. Um, pardon me. However, um, all other celestial movements in the sky, all other stuff that we have going on up there, it is a bit like it is the chicken is was it the chicken or the egg kind of thing because um, we decide something's powerful and then it becomes. You know, there's many examples just throughout my life, that I had direct, noticing it happening. Like I was in Utah when it was the Winter Olympics and weren't getting any snow. So and it's mostly, Mormons around there. So they like told all the churches to pray for snow and they had historic snowfall that it almost ended up closing. They almost didn't get a chance to do the Olympics because so much had come in, and a lot of these kinds of things. Um, we put importance on these things, so therefore they're important. That's actually how I ended up started to follow it because I'm like, well, it works out to be important. I don't care where it came from. Um, however, most of what we see in the heavenly bodies is stories that are in religious texts, and we're finding them now, and we're able to see that it's what it really is. It's like a mile marker or a sign on the road to tell you where you are, and everyone can agree to meet at that point, and however, this stuff with the solar flares has been really bizarre. I've been following it obsessively for years, like years. And check this out. I don't know if I've ever seen this. Normally, you can't see it. Darn. Ah,
I
there we
just
go.
I do see
Normally,
some red flares though on the top. Oh, you're looking at below. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, normally there's color showing you where the solar flare is making impact on us. Um, there's no color at all.
Hmm.
At least this was a couple of hours ago. I took this. This is a screenshot. Um, this that's doesn't happen. The fact we're not getting anything coming in right now is it feels like anticipatory energy. Of like that we are about to get something. I know that we're about to hit a corridor. So we have a lunar eclipse on March 25th and a solar eclipse on April 8th, the big eclipse. And which, by the way, those of you who don't know, we're having a party here. If you're interested, there's probably a link on the description of this video for you to grab some tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, Here in the Arkansas mountains, it's just a beautiful crystal bed place. That's just so beautiful. So anyway, just had to say that because it brought up. Um,
Yes, absolutely. And, I know obviously there's a lot of your audience that already knows this, but it would be great, for people to kind of like know that you moved there not too long ago. What has it been like? Maybe 4 or 5 months or less?
December
Oh,
13th.
wow.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, we got to the Arkansas border the day before. Or so the 11/11, I mean, the 11/11. Um and then I was really happy to then go to sleep. And I took a hotel. Yeah, the coming here has been really weird. When I first came here, I was really confused because you can't feel people. like you could feel people before. And the reason of it is there's a quartz crystal bedrock. And so it's constantly clearing the energy. And so all energy is a lot more subtle. And so at first I was like, there's really no energies here? Come on. Of course there are. And it is. It's just more subtle and and balanced. It's really cool. But yeah, since we've been here, there's been so many activations and so many new things. I'm nothing like the person who began that journey. Um, I knew I was going to be here when I was 14. I had a near death experience. That was 30 years ago, and in that near death experience, I knew that I would be here for my birthday. I didn't at that time know that there was going to be an eclipse. My birthday's on the 27th of March. And so it just that was a good window that they could point at, and um I didn't know how, and all I kept getting was just go there. Just go there. So I figured we were just going to wander over here like without any destination exactly. And I'm so glad that wasn't the case. It made it so much better. But yeah, it's and just more and more things are coming at some point. Um, this the end of this story is creating a village basically for for mostly single moms, but all kinds of different people. Um, I thought I'd get to be able to start on that a lot earlier than it's working out to be, but all things are always expressed in spirit in a really short, condensed Cliff Notes kind of way. And so um, my version of the story happened right away when I came here. But that part's still in the working. It's still something that we're doing. It's just not as quickly as I was hoping. So anyway, talk about that.
Yes, all in divine timing. So, Pamela, are there like, I mean, I guess I'm just curious. Do you have like 5, 10, 15, 20, or is it way bigger right now, the community that is building around you?
Um, so no one else has actually moved on to the land. It's is that what you mean?
Yes, because who are like
Yeah.
your current like community members? Do you have people, or are they on their way to you?
So far, it's we're not able to accommodate any kind of like water or that's been like the big thing people want to like. There's places to get well established and stuff, but it costs money, upfront money to do all of the stuff, the infrastructure kind of stuff. And so in the meantime, that there's it's just not doable to accomplish. And where we are, we're 20 minutes away from a teeny tiny little town of 4,000 people. Um, and um, we're on a mountain, a foresty mountain. There's like no, we're just really in the middle of nowhere, which is awesome. It's just that um, it's not congruent with a luxurious lifestyle, you know um, once we're able to get the water things situated and stuff, after the party we were going to have in April, then I can start focusing my financial income toward something this goal, So um, in the meantime, though, I've been noticing a lot of people moving in just to the surrounding area, and the community will talk about that. It's really fascinating. And there are some groups that are kind of zealot. They're like, that they all understand how important this place is. And so the communities are all around this mountain, all around the space. There's like, you can, if you choose to go through all the little towns, like kind of towns, you'll find, every kind of spiritual background. It's fascinating.
Wow,
So,
I love
and
that.
the legend of the area is amazing.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Rainbow Woman?
Mm-mm. Tell me about her.
She's the end of the Hopi prophecy, or the Rainbow Warrior prophecy, rather. Um, and I didn't ever actually know where that was at. That was here. is so she is this beautiful energy that supports and kind of uh, keeps people out of this crystal cave. There's four caves, and we're actually right in the middle. And they're known caves, and these caves are this place is a place that people were coming to, Native American, um, before anyone was called Native American tribes. You know, the Mayan would come here every 11 years. Some would come every 7 years, and then the ones that are closest would come every annually, every single year. Anyway, every and part of their important, Monotaka is the story. It's the people of the Monotaka. Um, anyway, they've all known about this crystal cave, but no one's allowed to go in it. However, it is during the Great Awakening, during I'm pretty sure it's this particular eclipse, um, but I'll find a reference and put it up in the comments later on, so you guys can check it out. It's really cool. Anyway, it's in the prophecy and the story that's told by all these people is that during the time of the Great Awakening, she will come forward and guide individuals to this cave that's been kept sacred. And in this cave, you will find um, the power of the star people and the way to communicate with them, and also to evolve or to keep your body in harmony. I think is how they worded it. Um, and all this stuff that's really cool. Like it's all supposed to happen. I'm pretty sure it's this particular eclipse that they're talking about. So I've heard this story before. This is a Navajo story, as far as I was concerned. And then coming all the way over here, away so far from the Navajo, and hearing this story again, and just I was, and then the fact that this came in, um, Monotaka came into my head, and I was like, um, I couldn't. I don't think I'm saying it right. Anyway, I couldn't say it right then either. And then my friend randomly said, "Hey, by the way, we should go to Monotaka." I think it's not called Monotaka. I wish I could remember what it's called. Um, anyway, um, how would that happen? You know, why it was perfect. And so then I'm like, well, let's watch a little video about it. And she pulled up her favorite video, and they told this story. They told this story, and I was like, I know this story. This is something I heard about when I was little. Anyway, um, whatever she is, the symbol of her, she feels like Divine Mother.
Mm.
And, the idea of the rainbow woman is that she's the mother of all walks of life, all nations, all creeds, all whatever. All of this outside stuff that people have been putting credence on for 100 years, they'll stop doing it, and just seeing that, just loving each other, and as a one people, ascending and sharing and teaching one another. It's really cool. It's a very amazing, succinct moment to have discovered that. So this will be really neat.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is really exciting. And I hope each of us will go and try to like look into the story. And unless you're going to post something in the chat later about it, but that's really amazing. And, what was coming to me is also that, you know, so many times we don't realize how. Um, incredibly powerful. And I don't mean that from the word of ego, just in the sense of like embracing, how powerful each one of us is in our own right. And we don't always understand the importance or the
Yeah.
impact of that, right? And just what you're sharing, right, Pamela, too, where you're saying that yes, you're in this land that literally called you, and there's not all of these other people, but it's almost like that sort of, to me, that element of being that trailblazer, that you had to get there first and plant into that energy, plant your roots, ground in there. And it's kind of funny, but like what was coming to me is like, build it and they will come. It's like that's kind of what I was envisioning, right? It's like you're there and you're starting to create, and the energy is emanating out. So people are already starting to come in. So I'm getting chills when I'm saying that, but like that's my experience. That's what I feel when you're sharing, is to say that, you know, even though I know that you're very powerful, it's just this, you don't even know where the ripple is happening, right? Like all of these people are getting magnetized to come in because they are the ones that will help to build and support and nurture this community that is being created to sort of expand and grow and go even beyond, right? And you have the support, it's already in the land, it's in the crystals, it's in the rainbow woman, so it's already blessed, right? Like it's ready. And like you said, when the, you know, the eclipse comes in, just imagine those energies coming in and hitting, and all that light coming into all parts of our universe, right? Like what are all the things, like that darkness is going to get light, every area that's dark is going to receive light. Now it might not be a great experience for a lot of people, but it's sort of like, again, that perspective, right? To say that any place that has any darkness, it needs the light is going to come in. So it's going to shake things up, right? So it's going to look different for all of us, and we're all going to have different experiences, but hopefully in a way that we can empower ourselves in the way that we're like looking at what's happening, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it just gets easier and easier too. After you do it, like you said, the at first part it feels like pulling off a band-aid quickly, and which I would suggest definitely. Like I've done the whole one hair at a time thing too, and that just ugh, like that's when I felt myself going crazy because I just like it was never gonna stop, and like um I feel it though. I know what you're saying. I I give responsibility to my kiddo when it comes to that, what you're talking about. And I know that a lot of what's going to happen for this land has to do with the children. Like the children are really the ones doing all this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we have to be the vessels of the children. So if you're not the right vessel, that child, won't be able to do what they're supposed to do or whatever. However, they're the ones really doing this. And it's so cool. And I'm so honored to be part of it. Though it looks like this, by the way.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what the energy of this mountain looks like. And as we all come together, we become these orbs that are like as our heart centers link and we create the Vesca Pisces, that then we're creating this flower of life. This is really what it looks. That's why I grabbed this image. I didn't know that was Metatron's cube. I was like, hey, that's what they're and from an aerial view. I mean, this is what
Yes.
it looks like from the air, and
Yes.
and it ripples out. It does. It does. It affects and changes all things to the point that we just assume things are changed, and then they're changed, and we find out that they've changed. But for us, they already have being in this place, and the activations that are occurring. I found a picture of her, by the way. So it is Monotaka. Um,
Oh.
a place of peace. I might be mirrored.
No,
So it
I
might be
do
her.
see it. I'm seeing it correctly.
Oh, good, good.
Well, her
Yeah,
image, yeah, you're right. The verbiage is probably reversed, but that's okay.
right.
I think they can look it up.
The Lady of the Rainbow.
Mm,
That's the way to say it. It's also a Mayan story and a Cherokee story, and I mean, it just goes on and on. And there, people will go to this particular spot where the mud is used for healing. In fact, pregnant women would come to this place and make small balls of with the mud, with the clay like mud, and eat them like pills throughout their pregnancy to have like the
wow.
best child or whatever, healthy, you know. Um, the waters are known as being sacred here. We have all of these springs. There's Eureka Springs, hot springs. There's these different springs, and like it's something special. And the level of the amount of caves around here, Not to mention, we're pulling crystals out of the ground. Like, this is my favorite one, just because it reminds me of Isengard. I just,
Wow.
it's on the top of the, it was just sitting on the ground. Well, it's on this, this is the back end. And like, they're all
Goodness.
over. Like, I put a short on my YouTube channel to show people. They're just everywhere. And then I started looking at it, and there's copper, there's quartz, and there's obsidian. This is organite.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We are naturally occurring organite all around the area. Like, this is really cool. So anyway,
It's
I love it.
amazing. I mean, I've heard of the crystal caves. Like, I was joking with some of my soul sisters. They were like, "Well, where should we go?" I was like, "Oh my God, we got to go to like Arkansas. Do you know how many crystal caves there are? And they're all activating because of all the stuff that's happening right now. And could you imagine all the information and the energy that they hold? They're just like waiting. They're waiting for, for each one of us to kind of like elevate our own frequencies. And then we're going to be able to tap in more and more into all of the information that's like stored, right? It's like water, right? The same way crystals, there's all this information that's stored in it. And, we can tap into these things. And like you said, it's just naturally you're surrounded by all of this beautiful energy. And, what I loved what you were saying is, this is kind of a specific community, even though I'm sure it's going to include a lot of people, that it's really focused on kind of like, moms with like, single moms or like moms with kids. And we all know that the children that are coming in right now are just at a whole other level, right? And I was going to ask you, I know it's kind of not exactly on topic, but I'm just feeling this sense of like these hybrid children that are coming in to like bring in so much that is, ready to be kind of like to some degree changed, or kind of, adding to things so that they get enhanced and they're more for all of us to be able to like receive, right? Because I'm not going to say that everything is broken, right? There's good in almost everything, but everything could use a little tweak. Some things probably can use it inside out, like, a lot of us would agree, even with the education system the way it is for our, for our kids, right? So it's sort of this very beautiful expansion with all of these beautiful kids that are coming in. Like, they're ready, they're ready to just shake things up and shift things up. And if we give them the space and allow them to do that, that's what's really going to expand so much more. So I'm so excited and can't wait to see what's going to be happening in this amazing community that you're going to be
Yeah.
building with all these beautiful kids and families and community.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. And you mentioned something that I haven't found myself in a position to have a discussion about in a live format. So I'm just going to grab it.
Let's
Um,
do it.
a lot of us um, also have children that aren't of this world.
Yes.
And my experience was in 2020. Um, this was an activating year for everybody, no matter if you were already awake or not. And that was a big year for everybody. Um, and, I'd been away I left my daughter's father, years before. So, 4 years, I think it had been. Um, the reason I bring this up is because for a few months, I researched whether or not you could, if how long can a sperm stay dormant and then become a baby, because I had pregnancy symptoms, really serious ones, and I at that point knew what pregnancy was like. Also, though, I had a visitation right before all this happened, and I didn't put all this together back then because the idea of that occurring was just way over there. Um, three beings came into my room. I woke up, and just as I was I woke up, they were just calm, loving energies. The one in front, the other two were kind of behind, like they were like, oh crap, she's awake. But touch my doorknob and I'm gonna wake up. That's how it works. Um, Anyway, he held up his three finged one thumb hand. A zap of electricity came from his palm, touched the top of my eyebrow and either corner of my eye. Um, Went in through. I got to follow the electricity into my brain, and I learned how to work with light in a healing way for other people at that point by following the light sent by his hand. It also had an effect of, it was like a sedative, um, because then all of a sudden the light was different in my room and I was waking up in bed. My head was at the foot of my bed. I don't sleep like that. I don't move. I could just fold my blanket right back over again. I'm one of those people. Um, and um, I felt like I was under some type of sedative a little bit, kind of like anesthesia, but if it didn't give you a headache or anything, because it didn't give me a headache. And then all of a sudden I had all these pregnancy symptoms that lasted 3 months. And then I woke up after, like, almost exactly 3 months after the visitation. Um, and I had symptoms of having given birth. I didn't go and check. I hadn't had sex for 4 years, dude. For 4 years, why would I go get a pregnancy test, deal with putting on a mask to go in during lockdown, to go get a pregnancy test, um, anyway, I was lactating and everything. Like, it's real. Like, yeah, like, I mean, and I understood after this occurrence that I had a son and that he could come later. That it was, that if he stayed with me at that time, he would be so noticeable that they would not be as kind to him as I would want them to be. They, the world, and so, um, he needed to be in my belly until the first trimester was complete, and then why am I bringing this up specifically is that another point about this mountain is that these kiddos are getting to start to come home. And um, I'm still waiting for this. But I'm very aware that this is something that's going to occur as a result of what we're doing on this mountain. That these children, these elders that are children, are also going to be coming back through. And I don't know if they'll stay as like the typical child parent situation. The longer that they are away, the less human emotionally speaking they become. And so, they won't be as it won't be as harmonious for them always if they've been up there a long time. So anyway, that's my story.
Oh
Weird.
gosh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Pamela, because, you know, again, like you said, this is a topic that we could like get really deep into, but I wanted to bring it up only because I know that there are many, many parents right now who know that their kids are incredibly gifted and to some degree uh, so wise, right? Like they just are just amazing. Like there's so much to learn from them instead of always having that traditional, like, oh, well, we have to teach all these things. Of course, parents will always have things to teach, but these kids are bringing in a lot of incredible information. And thank you for sharing your personal experience because, this is also important for people to learn because I know this is a very sensitive topic of, kids and then a lot of times they don't make it to the complete cycle or they didn't make it and it's very traumatic for a lot of people and I think for anybody going through that it's always going to be traumatic and there's going to be that sort of grief and loss even though you had the higher perspective there would have been the oh my gosh I'm going to have another child and playmate with my daughter or whatever you go through your own things but I think it's also really important that just the same way that we chose how we wanted to come into this world, right? We even got to choose our parents and what we wanted to look like, all of these things, right? They're making the same choices. And I think that there are these children, like you said, they're going to come back into our field. So, for example, I haven't looked into this a lot, but and we won't go too much into it because I also want to be very careful of like what I say. But when I talk about hybrid children, there's many different versions, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to say any names, but I have someone that I know who experienced a visitation when she was very young and she completely freaked out. Um, and then in her adult life, she didn't end up having kids. She still doesn't have kids of her own, but she experienced pregnancy. She experienced a pregnancy, and it didn't matter what anyone told her. She says, I know that this is not just heartburn or indigestion or something else, you know? And
Mhm.
it was just a mystery for her. She had no idea. She was on her awakening journey. And it took until like last year for her to like receive some information that confirmed to her that not only was it one, I think she has like four kids that she kind of created, but they're all hybrid children.
Mm.
And so what's important also is, because there's so many dimensions, these beautiful children are existing in these other dimensions. They are. They might just not be visible and around us at this moment, but from the little bit of understanding that I have of how things are working, depending on the choices that we make, depending on what we're creating and what's going on, some of these kids, like you said exactly, are going to come. They're going to come and become in this physical form, bringing in all of their energies and frequencies. So I feel that there's a possibility. Now, I've been told that I have hybrid children as well. So I'm curious too. I'm like, wow, am I going to be able to see them in physical reality? Is that a possibility? And it's a possibility, right?
Yeah.
So there's just so many different um, perspectives, right? That are out there. And it's just like, if we're just open to explore without getting too attached, because I was like, am I supposed to do something? Like, am I supposed to care for these hybrid children? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, no, they're perfectly taken care of. And I was like, well, what do they desire? What they need from me? Or what do they want from me? Or, am I supposed to do something? And what I heard back was, they just want you to be happy. Be in your joy. When you're in your joy, you're always connected, and if you choose, you can communicate with them. You can start to communicate with them. And just like you would with your own spirit guides or anybody else, same way, connect with them. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. Thank you. And you're right. There's one other point to make that it's not only females, by the way.
Yes.
I asked about that, and I saw a series of images, flashes of different people, men, um, what they look they are asleep, almost asleep, or had been asleep, and in these cases, um, the energy that came forward was able to, and this is in a contract or an agreement we've already made ahead of time. There's no violation really here, but it can feel violating if we don't, and so you can also remove your consent for this type of thing. If that's something that you want to do, you can say, I don't consent, and it won't happen. Um, However, what I saw was individuals coming to these men and appearing very beautiful, appearing to be, something that would, you know, make them happy, and they would collect sample this way, um, and so there are quite a few of these beings that are fully, they're in adulthood. Um, they're beautiful, and they all look a little different. What's fun is usually you can really see the human in them, um, but with like bigger eyes, and stuff like this. Um, and like you said, there's a lot of version of hybrid children. Like I would call my daughter a hybrid, even though there's two human parents, and she's always been this energy that, I mean, she activated me even bigger. Being pregnant with a child of this caliber of light, like there was no more pushing snooze on anything. Like I was hiding from spirit. Basically, I was done. I took a break. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to play. I learned that if you don't acknowledge and interact with those who have passed, the spirits, eventually they get bored and they stop bothering you.
Mm.
And so I was trying to do that with everything, and it really wasn't working that great. And then I was pregnant with her, and it was like, bam, now, and yeah, I am honored to be her mother, and many children like this are on their way here, on their way not just to this particular spot, but there are many spots like this that are creating these communities, these spiritual communities that are um, becoming more and more aware how important the children are. This is a child that we haven't taught they can't yet. We haven't taught um, that it's imagination, and that means it's not real. We're not teaching them that to remove their power. We're teaching them how to be empowered, and in so doing, there are teachers. It's amazing.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And, I think the other thing too that you were sharing, which I think is really important, is, you know, especially when it comes to hybrid children. Oh, thank you, Zana. Just the thing that people will be most familiar with is all these stories that have come out about like grays and how a lot of things have happened in terms of visitations, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to come back to what you were saying, which is really important, is all of this was contracted for every single person that's gone through that experience. We agreed to it, but not in this human physical form. So of course, and there was a lot of trauma. There's lots of things that are associated, but I did um, get to listen to a beautiful transmission, and I'm just talking specifically about grays because that's what I heard. But they've sort of done a lot of work with current humanity, but they actually apologized because they realized that the way that they went about doing it was probably not the best. They thought that, oh, we're just going to do these things and they're not going to remember anything, so it's perfect, right? They agreed to it, but they're not going to remember. But that's not what most people's experiences were. So I think what was beautiful in them apologizing, it really released a lot of this collective energy of feeling like they were, violated or anything. And just to know that they understood and that they are sorry and they don't have the same emotions and feelings that we do. And so it was such a beautiful like moment, right? And I think it probably helped to shift a lot of things. um,
Yeah.
but kind of coming back to this thing about these incredible children, like I can't wait. I mean, they're already, I mean, with social media now you're getting to see all these incredible gifted kids like your daughter and so many others. They come on and you're like, how old are you? Oh my God, the wisdom and the energy pouring out of them. It's confusing because you see a child in front of you, but the information that's coming through is so powerful and so empowering. And just seeing them being able to just be free and not bogged down by all these old ways and rules traditionally that they had to be around. But I also give kudos to parents like you that really understand, are able to create that very expansive space for them to step into so they can be themselves and really step in and kind of be the leaders. So it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool, and it's all a ripple effect of what you've all been doing.
Mhm.
What we've all been doing as a collective. And um, we're not. I want to highlight that to show that what you're doing is very, very important. All of us. And these hybrid kids, they're these evolved children, these amazing little souls that are coming in. Um, couldn't be who they are in their natural state without you doing the work. And so, you know, um, and just as you said, there's a lot of stories and stuff. I I would like to point out that those who came to me, they weren't grays. Those who came to me had cool eyes, like that sort of.
Yeah.
Um, but they weren't grays. They were very loving and very, they were coming to assist me too. It was like a sharing back and forth, you know. And what I did get from the stories that you were talking about was there, it was kind of like that sheepish, um, not, see, these energies, a lot of them don't have emotional base like we do.
Hmm.
And so it's not thought about
Yes.
that we might be affected in an emotional way.
Yes.
And then when we are, they're like, "Oh crap, it's Carl. He's new," kind of thing. And like, so no one was ever, I don't in feel in any way meant like that was the intention was to cause disharmony. Sometimes that was a side effect,
Yes.
of the experience. And um, the more that we allow ourselves to evolve, to elevate, you know, the more that we'll be able to see this in every direction in the way that it is, meaning like it won't take effort to figure it out or to see. Um, and we're already there. It's just letting ourselves do it, you know. Um, with these kiddos, the best thing that we can do, I see a couple people have mentioned their kiddos. Um, uh, what the best thing that we could do is um, say, I believe you. I love you and I believe you are both really important words for little people to hear, and um, because that's usually the spell we've cast upon our children to teach them not to have power is to pass judgment and say that we don't believe them, and um, this is just an encouragement. They'll still do great. It's just, that's the rest of it. Just let them guide you. I know that I've been very blessed to get to be in a situation where I've got to homeschool. And so it's been a lot easier for me, having to work against the system, every day bringing her home from school and doing something like that would have been a lot harder. And so I don't know if I would have had it in me, which is why my life worked out the way that it has, and um, teaching your kid to meditate is like is the gateway drug to spirituality. Then they figure the rest of it out. And most of the time they realize they were already doing it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So beautiful, Pamela. I love that we're kind of coming to that place, like just talking about these beautiful kids, and the space that you're in, and it's really going to showcase and just expand and grow with the help of these kids, because that's going to be a big part of your community. So super excited to hear about that. But I know we're coming to almost an hour and a half, and I'm sure you're probably going to want to wrap up. But I just wanted to thank you so much and to thank every single person that has come in today, all the beautiful comments and all the support for each other as we're navigating two things. And it's just been such a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, Pamela.
thank you. Thank you. And before the end real quick, just to point out everybody's been saying this and I just want to echo it. Everyone is experiencing fatigue and exhaustion these days. Yes, we are. If be gentle with yourself if you can. Give yourself a little bit of time to rest more than you normally would. Extra water. I can't tell you how much water I've been drinking. Oh my goodness. Like just know that you're not alone and it's okay. All of these things are temporary. They really are temporary. It's just I don't know how long that temporary is for some of these things, and um but right now during this incredible energy, get the rest that you need, even if it's taking a 5-minute break in the portable or the bathroom stall. I mean, to hide away and to center. Sometimes that's all you need. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited. I was really excited all week long to connect with you. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, it was beautiful. Thank you so much. And I look forward to connecting with you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Love